Have you ever heard the terms star seeds or indigos? What are they, you may ask? Well, it is believed that starseed children are incarnating on Earth to teach humanity how to love and how to interact with celestial information that our planet needs at the moment. The question remains, is it possible that ADHD, autism, Augsburger's syndrome and other cognitive learning functions are actually not a disability at all? Could they be a superpower and a gift from God? UFO researcher Mary Rodwell has studied the phenomenon and believes that these children are a unique and special gift given to humanity and raise the consciousness of our planet into a higher dimensional frequency.
I believe Nikola Tesla was probably one of the first starseeds, and because he was autistic, he always got information through visions, was a vegetarian and what have you. But I do think that there's been, if you like, an acceleration of these new types of programs, and certainly I think 60s, they call that the first wave of 50s, 60s, even 40s. And my feeling is that it's been accelerated because as soon as we got technology that meant we could go into space, many of these intelligences were very worried about how primitive we were. And I think that they went into a concerted effort to shift and change our consciousness. So what we're seeing through all those years is a gradual shift in each generation where they became a little bit more awake and a bit more different. And people say, oh, they're dysfunctional, they can't operate in our society. The whole idea is, I believe, these intelligences wanted to be sure they were not programmed into this inaccurate 3D, that they had to be programmed so that it was too hard for them to be programmed. And so what did we get? We got the autistic child, we got the dyslexic child, we got the ADHD child, we get the Asperger's. All of them are hard to program because they're coming from a different level. And, it's perceived as dysfunctional. I perceive them as the new ones that are showing us how to operate. And one lovely gentleman who I got to know in Hong Kong was in his 50s before he worked out he was ADHD. And he said, Mary, I always saw reality differently. And he wrote the book Close Encounters of the ADHD Kind. And he retranslated it into always dialed into higher dimensions. Because, what we found with the autistic children, for example, many of them are telepathic and it's not recognized, but they are being tested to be, and they're finding that they're telepathic. So you've got, this is the upgrades that we're going into being telepathic. We're going into that side of ourselves as we upgrade and what have you. The dyslexics, the reason they don't operate well here is because they are seeing things from a multi-dimensional perspective. So they're seeing all of this, and we're asking them to see through a pinhead and say that's how it is. So when you start to understand their reality, you see that what they're perceiving is completely different from the average 3D individual who thinks that looking through this tiny little hole is actually what reality is when they're seeing all of this. So it's lack of understanding, and it's nothing to do with something being wrong with them. They're the new programs. They're the ones showing us the way that we need to wake up to be part of that new reality, which is our multidimensional nature and part of our heritage that we've been programmed out of. Whereas thankfully, they're not being programmed in the same way, although there are agencies that are trying to program them, stick penicillin down their faces and shut them down and slow them up. But, that's another agenda because they are aware of them. There are agencies that know full well that these children are being born globally, and they will target them. And that's one of the ways to target them.